Let's do it.
Let's do it. So on Monday, the New York Times reported that President Joe Biden wants to make moving to the United States easier. I'll see it when I believe it. Now, according to a 46-page government document, the Biden administration wants to make our legal immigration system easier. The draft document outlined plans to undo lots of Trump regulations, also to make forms easier, make the process easier, and do a lot of the applications online. I have seen in my career as an immigration lawyer for over 30 years, the government always saying they're going to make it easier. And every time the government says they're going to make it easier, you know what happens?
What?
They make it harder.
It gets harder.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know.
Every single time?
I can't imagine. I don't remember one time they made it easier. In 30 years, they've always made it harder and harder every year, no matter what they say.
I have high hopes for 2021 in this administration.
You have more faith in this?
I have faith in it because remember, we even talked about it during the debate. This was the first time the number one issue, wasn't it immigration? And we had talked about that. We were like, oh, usually in the debates, they're not. So hopefully they actually, say what they mean what they say.
By the way, there is no person in the world who's more in favor of easier than harder than me. Okay, because I have worked very hard to get people visas for 30 years. I'd like to have an easy year every so often. Okay, so nobody wants it more than I do. Of course, my clients as well. Now, according to the New York Times, the document said the Biden administration plans to revamp many of the programs, the H-1B program, which is your skilled worker program, your temporary skilled worker program. They're going to revamp the U-Visa program. The U-Visa are people who were the victims of crimes, and they are also going to overhaul both asylum and skilled worker labor applications. We'll see how that actually works out. Let's get to coronavirus. Mayor De Blasio, he said yesterday, the mayor of New York City, congratulations to New York City. The COVID rate in New York City has dropped to the lowest level since they started keeping statistics on March 1st, 2020. We are at the lowest level since the pandemic began. De Blasio said that the city's positivity levels have plunged more than 95% since the start of 2021, with COVID hospitalizations also down 69%. And what they are measuring is the percentage of people who took a COVID test and how many were positive. And in the last 7 days, less than 1% of people who took a COVID test, the PCR where they stick the thing up your nose, less than 1%. 0.81%, which is 0.0081%. Less than 1% of people who got thing up their nose positive in the last 7 days in New York City. And New York City is very crowded, by the way. It's not like we're on farmland out here, where everybody's social distancing. Everybody's on top of each other. Now, he stresses that this is all due to the vaccination efforts in all 5 boroughs, which has seen 8,373,820 shots injected into the arms of New Yorkers. More than half of New York City's population is fully vaccinated. More than 50% has already had the second shot. Tomorrow, the city's going to begin providing vaccine to public schools in the Bronx that will eventually expand citywide to vaccinate all children between the ages of 12 and 17 years. The city also is bringing mobile vaccination buses to popular nightlife destinations across the city. Now, I don't know if that's a smart idea, because nightlife destinations to me equals alcohol and sometimes illicit drugs. And then we're going to start giving injections of vaccine. They're going to have a mobile vaccination van, bus, go to popular nightlife destinations all over New York City on June 2nd and 3rd. These buses are going to be located right outside the club. As you stumble out at 3, 4 in the morning, because the clubs are open now till 3, 4 in the morning in New York, I think, as of this week. As you stumble out of the club, drunk, perhaps on drugs. Who knows what goes on in these clubs anymore?
I was going to say,
I'm too old to remember. I don't remember what happened. All right, I remember a little bit. I don't know if that's smart to be like, all right, 4 in the morning, go.
I don't think
that's smart. I don't think that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
But I liked everything up until that one.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Yeah, the fact that you have to sit in the doctor's office for 15 minutes after you get your shot, that right there kind of tells me I don't think you should be mixing that with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one. Yeah. I'm not in favor of the bus, but I liked everything I read up to that point.
Same.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so now that was a pretty stupid idea, sending a bus out to a club to give people injections when they stumble out at 4 in the morning. This idea is even dumber. In West Virginia, you know, like in Ohio we talked about, and even in New York and California, they're doing lotteries. You know, if you take a vaccination. Do you know what you win in the lottery in West Virginia? They're doing a lottery in West Virginia if you take a vaccination this week. You know what you win? A gun.
Oh, wow.
You take a vaccination and you get put in a lottery to win a gun or a truck. You get a truck or a gun.
Someone had put in the comments maybe like a few days ago, and it was like, I just can't believe that people need to be rewarded in order to stay safe.
Yes, but you know what? I will reward people to make everybody safe. I understand from 20,000 feet up in the air, looking at the big picture, you shouldn't have to reward anybody. But the reality is everybody makes decisions in life on reward and punishment. What's the pain and what's the reward of doing something? Every decision you make in life, whether it's you walk across the street, you get up to go to work in the morning. You know, a lot of times people don't want to get up to go to work in the morning. What's the pain of, well, you don't get a paycheck and now you can't pay your rent. Everything is, you know, reward and punishment in life. Every decision you make.
Especially when people didn't really want to get the vaccine, including myself, you know,
Right.
Although I didn't do it for the reward, my reward was being able to see my family. So, you know, like you said, we all do it for a certain reason.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you got to reward somebody to, you know, give them that extra push to do it, yes, you're right, Vanessa, you shouldn't have to, but that's human nature, I think.
Yeah.
So people in West Virginia, they love their guns. If you want to give them a gun,
Give them guns.
you know what?
That's horrible.
Take a shot so you don't kill somebody with COVID, but get a gun. You can kill them with a gun. I don't know if you saw that Dr. Anthony Fauci had all of his emails published as a result of a Freedom of Information Act request by BuzzFeed. So this is not a situation where the Russians hacked Fauci's email. This was done through Freedom of Information Act request, where you can request government records. Fauci wrote in some of his emails, "This is a White House in full overdrive. I'm in the middle of it." He said that on a February 2nd email, reminiscent of post-anthrax days. 2 days later, responding to a journalist, he wrote, "I'm really tired, not much sleep these days." Now, Fauci even responded to notes of supporting questions for medical advice from strangers. One person wrote back to him, "Oh my God, I honestly never expected you to reply, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart." But these emails are also very contentious because House Republican Whip Steve Scalise, he's a Republican from Louisiana, and House Oversight Committee ranking member James Comer sent a letter to top Democrats on the committee saying that Fauci's emails debunk many Democrats' claims from the past year, including that he and other scientists were muzzled by the Trump administration. They also, the Republicans are claiming that Fauci had said in February and March, masks don't work in emails. It only protects the unmasked person from getting COVID, from you giving it to someone else, but it doesn't protect you from getting COVID. That's what he said in an email in February and March. And then the Republicans are now saying also in some of the emails that he was being thanked by some people in emails, in private emails, for not mentioning that there's a possibility that COVID started from the Wuhan lab instead of naturally. Fauci has denied many of this. He says, when John Berman said to him, "There are some of your critics who say this shows you have too cozy of a relationship with the people behind the Wuhan lab research. What do you say to that?" Fauci responded, "All of this is nonsense. I don't even see how they get that from these emails." He then emphasized that the email was sent to him and the origins of the coronavirus is still uncertain. The email in question was sent to him where somebody said, "Thank you for not mentioning that it's a possibility that it came from the Wuhan lab." And Fauci did not say anything in response to that. He said, something to the effect of "you're welcome" or something like that. But he didn't say whether it did or it didn't. He was just being polite and responding to emails. So he said just because he responded to an email doesn't mean that's what he believed. Now, the other thing that people are seeing, I see it a lot on Instagram now, is that a lot of people are saying that Fauci said the masks don't work. It doesn't work to protect you. And then all of a sudden, everyone had to wear a mask to protect themselves. My opinion is this, nobody knew what coronavirus was in March.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say.
Nobody, it's irrelevant what he said in March because science is dynamic. I think that's a good word. They learn, it's dynamic, and what they think one day, they could think something else another. So just because he said in March it doesn't work, and he said in June it does work, it's because science says it.
Yeah, and science takes time, so he had to test this to see if it worked.
So Fauci is now in the crosshairs of the Republicans. He is persona non grata by the Republicans. They're using Fauci basically for political purposes. They want to say he's the one who caused all of these problems with people having to stay home. He's the one who caused all these problems with businesses having to close. He's the one who caused all these problems with restaurants having to close. And he was all full of it from the beginning. And the reality is, my opinion is, I think he's a good-hearted man. He really was trying to save lives. And he was telling people what he knew at that moment.
I believe so as well. I agree with you.
And it was a very tough position for him to be in. Okay, he's not a politician. He's a scientist, and he got thrown in the limelight. Kind of feel bad for him in a way because he's being used now politically, and he's not really a politician.
Yeah.
So
I've seen things on Instagram already.
Yeah. So
that's how I'm pretty sure we'll talk about this on the show today.
Republicans are asking for his head. They want him fired. He lied. He said masks don't work. He said in an email, "You see, we got you, Fauci." And then he didn't respond to one email where a guy said, "Thanks for not mentioning it came from a Wuhan lab." And I think he responded something else, but he didn't actually reply to the guy's email. So they say, "You see, he knew it. He knew it came from Wuhan lab, and he didn't say anything." Meanwhile, here's some good news. Forbes reported that in the year 2021, the number of women, boss ladies, running businesses in the Fortune 500. The Fortune 500 is the 500 largest companies in the United States, has hit an all-time record. 41 women are running one of the top 500 biggest companies in the United States of America. And for the first time, 2 black women are running Fortune 500 businesses. Roz Brewer, who's running the number 16 largest business in the United States, Walgreens, Boots Alliance, and Thasunda Brown, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Thasunda Brown Duckett, who is running the 79th largest business in the United States of America, TIAA. TIAA is the Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America College Retirement Equities Fund. It's a hedge fund. And another executive is making history at the helm as the highest ranking business ever run by a female CEO, and that is Karen Lynch. She is running the 4th largest company in America, which is CVS Health. Would you believe that? Wow. CVS, because they also own Aetna. They own pharmacies, they own medical insurance, they own a lot, CVS.
That's amazing.
Now the 67-year-old, it's a new world. It is a new world. What do you have to say, Vanessa, about all this?
Beyonce said it best. Who runs the world? Girls. I want to get a bunch of heart emojis in the chat. All my ladies watching the show. Boss babes.
Pumpkin, he shut down his blog. He started a blog a month ago because he got shut out of Twitter and Facebook. But he shut it down after a month. You want to know why?
Why?
Nobody was paying attention to it.
That I'm actually surprised about.
Yes, he started a blog. It was called From the Desk of Donald J. Trump. And he was giving his ideas and thoughts in this blog for 1 month.
And no one cared.
Nobody cared. And of course, if nobody cared, his ego was hurt. So he shut it down. And he said, it was just supposed to be temporary anyway. I was planning on shutting it down after a month. He goes, that was the plan the whole time.
That's wild for him to even give up.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
But he did.
Yeah, so he didn't even say anything about it. It was his senior aide, Jason Miller, who said it was just auxiliary to the broader efforts we have and are working on, hoping to have more information on the broader effort soon, blah, 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 blah. Meaning, basically, and if you remember about a month ago, he said, big things are coming. Big things are coming. I don't need Facebook. I don't need Twitter. He thought he'd make a blog. It was like a $500 website, you know. It just said from the desk of Donald J. Trump, and it was just a blog of him writing. Nobody cared. Nobody read it. No.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
With the amount of people that voted for him, I thought that he would at least get some kind of traction.
One of the things he weighed in on his blog, was the issue of Medina Spirit. Medina Spirit was the winning horse in the Kentucky Derby. Now, remember, the Kentucky Derby horse had steroids in his system, and they didn't know whether or not they should disqualify this horse. Well, he wrote in his blog, so now even our Kentucky Derby winner, Medina Spirit, is a junkie. This is the only thing that got press. He continued, this is emblematic of what is happening to our country. The whole world is laughing at us as we go to hell on our borders, our fake presidential election and everywhere else, and even the horse is a junkie. But you want to know what? Medina Spirit just actually tested positive a second time for the steroids. So it is now believed that because this horse tested twice for steroids, that it will be disqualified. It hasn't been official yet, but they believe it's going to be disqualified from the Kentucky Derby. And it's a big deal for the owner and the trainer. It's millions and millions of dollars on the line. Asparagus is known to be a traditional side dish, Yo-Yo and Vanessa. You're familiar with asparagus. Yes. Do you like asparagus? Oh, this is in Belgium. You hate asparagus. I love asparagus.
I like asparagus.
I like asparagus too. Okay.
When it's made right.
Okay, now, in Belgium, they have these law books, and in these law books, everybody goes to find out what the law is. Now, a local commercial lawyer by the name of Morgan Moller was surprised when he opened up his law books to find the cooking instructions buried amongst medical product pricing laws in the French language version of the Moniteur Belge, which is the legal database to access papers, legislation, and royal decrees. This is where all of the laws are. And in the middle of these books and databases where all the laws are was a recipe to make asparagus. So Mahler tweeted about his observation on Friday with a video of the mistake. A colleague mentioned it to me, so I went to the site to check and immediately saw the error. The real problem here was that if something appears on the official gazette, it is by default accessible to anyone with an internet connection. Whatever information is contained on that is supposed to be true and accurate because third parties could use it as a source for their legal argument. So this is where they go to for their legal arguments. And when he opened up this database, he found a 6-step recipe to cooking asparagus, which is preheat the oven to 250 in a large volume of water with 3 teaspoons of salt. Cook the rinsed and peeled asparagus in a saucepan. Bring the cream and tomato paste to a boil. Butter a gratin dish. Lower your oven to 230 and bon appetit. And you know what this shows you? What? This is the funniest thing that happens to a lawyer around the world. Lawyers ain't that funny.
Right. I think funnier things will probably happen.
I think lawyers are pretty. I'm reading this. I'm like, lawyers just not funny, man. Lawyers are just not funny. If this is what cracks up lawyers, I'm funny. But if this is what cracks up lawyers, an asparagus recipe in a law book, this is what cracks up lawyers. This is what's making the round in the law firms around the world. The asparagus.
We don't want to be at that law firm.
Yeah. Oh, let's open up the law. Oh, look, it's an asparagus recipe. That's what's cracking up the lawyers around the world, man. Lawyers don't have any sense of humor. That's the funniest thing they could come up with, the lawyers.
Tune into Bradshaw Live.
Yeah.
Fix their sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading this asparagus. I'm like, okay, where's the humor? I mean, just making lawyers look really stuffy. He's an Italian artist by the name of Salvatore Garau. I've called Salvatore Garau in the most positive terms. Maybe a con artist instead of an artist. Let me tell you why. This Italian, and I'm saying this all in the kindest way. Italian artist Salvatore Garau recently sold a sculpture for 15,000 euros, which is the equivalent of $18,300. Problem is, Jonathan and Vanessa, it's invisible.
What?
It's an invisible.
What?
It's an invisible sculpture. You just have to imagine it's there.
No.
You know what this reminds me of?
You just, yeah, and I'm like, no, come on, man.
Brad,
Italy.
what comes to mind? Can you think of it? A story we talked about years ago.
Invisible?
I think it was that Art Basel, the banana.
This is worse than the banana. You're
Yeah.
right.
Oh my God, they have the actual.
Wow, Julia the TriCaster guy is on it.
Dude, you're crazy.
Yeah.
This is my head.
This is worse than the banana. At least the banana you can see.
Wow. Where was this again, Brad? Where was this?
I don't know. I got to keep reading. According to as.com, the sculpture's initial price was set between 6,000 and 9,000 euros. However, the price was raised after several bids came in. People were fighting for the invisible sculpture.
Ridiculous.
The sculpture, which is titled Lo Sono, which is Italian for I am, is quote, immaterial, according to the 67-year-old artist, meaning the sculpture does not really exist. Though he's received much critique for the sale, Garau argues that his work of art isn't nothing, but it's instead a vacuum. He sold a vacuum, basically nothing. He told Asda, let's see what the artist said. I mean, this is ridiculous. The vacuum is nothing more than a space full of energy, and even if we empty it and there is nothing left, according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that nothing has a weight. Therefore, it has energy that is condensed and transformed into particles, that is, unto us. Now he titles himself an Italian artist, Salvatore Garau. Jonathan and Vanessa, would you agree or disagree? Con artist, Salvatore Garau, or Italian artist, or Italian con artist?
Listen, he's not a con artist if he got away with people fighting to buy it. I mean, they see it for themselves. So it's not like he's saying I got art here and they're fighting for it, and then after they pay, he leaves. Like, they see they're arguing off of nothing. Just like the banana. Remember? That went for like $120,000 at Art Basel.
The other thing I have to say is, you know what this all goes to show? Rich people don't know what the hell to do with their money.
And they just got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. That's it.
Rich people don't know what the hell to do with their money, Vanessa.
It's crazy.
Literally.
Let me ask you a question. You have 18 grand in your pocket to burn. You got 24 hours to spend it. What do you do with your $18,000? You got to spend it in 24 hours. What do you do, Vanessa?
I'm definitely investing.
You're investing
I need something to duplicate. Yeah, of course.
What are you doing, Jonathan?
I'm either investing or buying equipment, because I'm about to start shooting a series. So if I buy like the highest equipment, I could start renting it out after as well.
Okay.
And use it for myself and have to ask for money.
I will donate it because I can't handle the pressure of what I'm supposed to do with it in 24 hours.
What?
Yes. I will donate.
I was about to say, like, buy a ticket and just like prepay a bunch of like.
I will donate it to a worthy cause, which is better than what these dummies who bought it.
Definitely would be.
Now, according.
Look at you. He made us answer first so he can top us off better. He's like,
well, guess what? Well, if you get that $18,000, I still have that series. I'll still be shooting.
Now, that's true. Now, Vanessa, I will allow you to change your mind if you want. Do you want to still invest? You're sticking with the investment. Well. Vanessa's like Bitcoin all the way, right? Bitcoin all the way.
Definitely
Bitcoin all the way.
Definitely not.
Now, according to Italy 24 News, Garau instructed that the sculpture must be displayed in a private home, free from any obstruction, in an area that is 5 feet long by 5 feet wide, because the piece does not exist. There's no special lighting or climate requirements. The only thing the buyer gets is a certificate of authentication that is signed and stamped by the artist that says, quote, created. Meanwhile, a professional wrestler elected to the Municipal Assembly of Southwestern Japan City intends to sue the city council for damages on the grounds of discrimination against his occupation by not allowing him to wear his wrestling mask in the chamber committee room. Skull Reaper. He is the Skull Reaper. He's a professional wrestler. He goes by the name Skull Reaper, is known only as assemblyman in the southwestern Japanese region of Kyushu. He won the city's assembly seat in 2013 election for the first time and secured a third term in February. But he is now being forced to take off his mask in the chamber. Like famous professional wrestler wore a mask that you didn't know who he was. You know, it's like he's a professional wrestler. Now they're forcing him to take off his mask and show his identity. The Undertaker, right.
There was a lot.
What is it? Wait, Julian gave me one. Kane. Kane.
Kane.
Yes.
Kane. That's who it was.
Yeah.
It was Undertaker's brother.
Yeah.
Kane.
But it was Kane.
Undertaker's brother. Not Undertaker. It was Kane. There you go.
Now, according to the Skull Reaper, he says it is suicidal act for a masked wrestler to show his real face in public. I've been discriminated against due to my occupation and have been harassed for 8 years. Now, he is suing for damages and also asked the Aide District Court for an injunction allowing photos of him in his mask to be published on the City Council's website and its newsletters on the grounds that not doing so discriminates against his occupation. He is refusing to take off the mask. Do you want your government worker to be a masked wrestler, or do you want to see what he looks like?
I need to see a face.
I don't know. Sure. I think it's kind of cool that the masked guy is representing the local council. I say let him keep his mask on. I think it's great. Apparently, there's a Russian man who joined a boy band competition show on Chinese TV on a whim, but quickly regretted his decision and was finally released from his ordeal. Vladislav Ivanov, a 27-year-old part-time model from Vladivostok. I know where Vladivostok is, believe it or not. It's right on the border of North Korea. It was working on the show Produce Camp 2021 as a translator when producers reportedly noticed his good looks and asked him to sign up as a contestant. Ivanov told the program he'd been asked if I'd like to try a new life and agreed, but quickly came to regret his decision. Unable to leave on his own without breaching his contract and paying a fine, he begged viewers to send him home every week. He says, I want off this show, but they wouldn't vote him off. They kept voting him back on because he was begging to be off.
That's hilarious.
By the way, that's a great thing, Yo-Yo. If you ever do a new show, just say, listen, I want off the show. Viewers, please just vote me off. And everybody would keep you on. They would keep you on.
Right.
You'd be like, I just want off. I just want off. And he kept getting voted on.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the program concept, let's see what this program was, which originated in Korea, pits young performers against each other to train and eventually form an 11-member international boy band chosen by a voting public. Ivanov and his fellow contestants were sequestered in dorm rooms on Hainan Island, and their phones were confiscated. Using the stage name Lelouch, Ivanov told viewers, don't love me, you'll get no results, and repeatedly pleaded with people not to vote for him. His first song was a half-hearted Russian rap in stark contrast to the high pop of his competitors. He says, please don't make me go to the finals. I'm tired. I want off. And he was purposely making the worst songs. And he was singing terribly off key just to get voted off. But everyone knew he wanted off, so they kept voting him on.
So that is hilarious.
Yes. Is that funny?
It makes me want to watch the show.
Yeah, the South China Morning Post
went down. Take notes.
The South China Morning Post reported him saying, I hope the judges won't support me while the others want to give me an A. I want to get an F. F stands for freedom.
Yo, he's hilarious. He's funny.
But his pleas went unanswered. A fan base which is taking to his grumpy anti-celebrity persona urged others to vote for him and let him 996 in reference to China digital industry culture of chronic overwork 9 to 9, 6 days a week. They were forcing him. Did you know about that? 996.
Nope.
9 to 9 every day, 6 days a week.
It makes sense why he wants to be free.
Yes. They want that. And all of the people who are watching were like, nope, let him 996.
Yikes.
Others celebrated him as an icon of Sang culture, a Chinese millennial concept of having a defeatist attitude toward life. After making it to the finals, Ivanov grumpily ate a lemon on camera and said he hoped people would not support him again. I'm not kidding. He was eating lemons before he went to sing.
Yo, he's literally trying to do any and everything to, like.
He's famous now because of it. He's famous because of it. Well, he was eventually voted off on the final episode. I'm finally getting off work, he posted on his Weibo account. A Weibo hashtag related to his departure was viewed more than 180 million times.
Wow.
And reposted more than 59,000 times, including the Russian embassy from China congratulating him and asking him to have a good rest.
That's hilarious.
Is that the funniest story you ever heard in your life?
That's hilarious.
I think the best thing is he ate 11 before he had to sing.
One.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.